Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Suddenly, your second stimulus package and second stimulus check looks like a WWE event in which we were only focusing initially on Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Then we had McConnell versus Trump. Now we have McConnell versus Mnuchin and Pelosi versus Trump and Mnuchin versus Pelosi. Can we get it together, folks? The day started with us focusing on Mnuchin getting incredible traction against Pelosi, and suddenly that was thrown all under the bus by Mitch McConnell. The question is, can we get through this, and what will be the deal items, and what will be coming up next? This is a special report that you have to tune in on of Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LA with a real twist of events that I couldn't even expect coming. I mean, it's just, it's like, really? It's just insane. This is Pelosi versus Mnuchin in a special report that followed McConnell versus Trump. If you did not catch that broadcast, watch it. I'll drop it in the links above, but boy, what a day it is. Go to the Finish channel, subscribe. 290,000 subscribers. Thank you for bringing us to that. Next stop is 300,000. Also like this video. In this broadcast, I'll be going over why Pelosi versus Mnuchin has certainly been derailed by McConnell versus Trump today. But ultimately, what was Mnuchin and Pelosi saying just a few hours ago before Macaulay Culkin just, left us home alone? It's just, I can't fathom what the White House must be thinking today, because I'm speechless, and you really see me speechless. But I will be explaining this to you in this video. All right, let me get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that the day started with incredible traction, incredible progress, incredible support from Steve Mnuchin, from both Republicans and Democrats, absolutely coming out and slamming Nancy Pelosi, saying you're not getting the deal done, except Steve Mnuchin's offer. It's a really good offer. It came 24 hours after this channel and other people were saying, Steve Mnuchin's numbers are great. Steve Mnuchin's are really good numbers. They're about 80% there. Just do the deal. Nothing can be perfect. And then, as everyone was focusing on Steve and how good Steve was, Mitch McConnell did the ultimate death grab choke lock on Mnuchin by saying, you know what? Who cares about Steve Mnuchin? I'm introducing a new bill next week, and it's 1/3 the amount of Steve Mnuchin's bill. You're doing what? Yes, Mitch McConnell next week will be undermining Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi singularly together, and also the White House, by introducing a bill that no one wants that basically says that Steve Mnuchin's too high. Insane. Suddenly it's not Mnuchin versus Pelosi, it's Mnuchin versus Pelosi versus McConnell, who's versus everyone else. The day started with Nancy Pelosi issuing another press release, and we had some really good, moments there, because the Pelosi press release did much of what you expected to do. Talked about children going hungry, talked about crushing the virus, talked about science, and did not talk about numbers. I mean, hey, it's Nancy Pelosi. I mean, what do you expect? It's just, it's as predictable as bad $12 ice cream. I mean, it was really, really a great laugh a minute. Her press release. In the press release, if you did not watch 28 this morning, I slammed the press release. First of all, she had what she did in the press release was she said, after the White House sent over its proposal, I had our chairmen of our committees of jurisdiction release statements. And so she quoted each of the statements. Well, what's hysterical about the statements is that they're either taken out of context or they're being said by people that never did anything for you. The first one was the House member who's in charge of Small Business Administration issues out of the East Coast. And this person said that Mnuchin's offer doesn't have anything for PPP and EIDL. Well, that's not true, first of all. It's like, nice false narrative there, thank you. But the person happens to be a horrible representative who's very notorious on this channel, because she was a person who is the the Marco Rubio equivalent of the House, in the House, because Marco's in the Senate. And she is singularly the person that viewers of this channel back in the day reached out to for EIDL loan and EIDL grant assistance and insight and help. And her response was, I don't do anything unless you're in my specific district of my specific state, otherwise don't contact me. So this person who absolutely doesn't care to help anyone except a small little group of people in a little community is speaking about how bad Steve Mnuchin's bill is for the entire United States. Guess what? You don't want to help anyone but the people in your little area? Well, then don't speak on behalf of the entire country. Make sense? Then there was Maxine Waters, who I absolutely adore, whose comments were clearly taken out of context by Nancy Pelosi. Maxine Waters hysterically had that memorable moment a month ago where she pointed at Steve Mnuchin in front of her during a House subcommittee and said, go negotiate with Nancy, and both of you need to start negotiating and stop acting silly. Well, that's a two-way statement. It's saying both of you need to negotiate. Well, since then, Nancy Pelosi has not moved one penny on her offer. So Nancy Pelosi quoted Maxine Waters in her statement today to suggest that Maxine Waters is suggesting that my number's really good. No. Maxine Waters said to get a deal done and stop sticking on the same damn number. So ultimately, that doesn't work either. But as you sit here today, where is Mnuchin and where is Pelosi? Ironically, the numbers are really good. Mnuchin is giving you lots of stimulus check money, more than Pelosi. And when I say lots, let me tailor that back. More. Lots is not a good word. Mnuchin is giving you more stimulus money than Mnuchin. Mnuchin's giving you more stimulus than Mnuchin. Mnuchin's giving you more stimulus than Pelosi. Mnuchin's giving you a lot more than McConnell, which is zero. Mnuchin's stimulus offer is absolutely incredible for the check. It's so much better than Temple Doom. Temple Doom currently is at $500 for children, $1,200 for adults, and if you're a dependent like SSDI, SSI, Social Security, or Railroad benefits, and appear on someone else's check as someone else's tax return as a dependent, you get a watered-down stimulus check, $500. Mnuchin beats it in two steps. First, he beats it with children. Instead of Pelosi's $500, he has them $1,000. Good, good, good. Then, adult dependents, my SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefit viewers. What does he beat on that? $1,200. Pelosi's at $500. He nearly triples it. Really good. How about doubles checks? Well, Pelosi has always said that don't come back to me unless you do this deal right now. Pelosi doesn't want to do multiple stimulus checks. She wants to do one stimulus check. How about Mnuchin? He's always said, I'll do multiple stimulus checks. Now, he's not doing it in this bill, but he's always said, I will do multiple stimulus checks. This is a thing that he needs to eject because, modify, because in the Problem Solvers bill, there were multiple stimulus checks, the second one in March, FPUC. Pelosi's at $600 a week, retroactive to September 5th. Mnuchin's at $400 a week, retroactive to September 12th, but he brings it out further in the future than even the Problem Solvers. So Mnuchin's giving you more FPUC overall. Now, ultimately, I would like Mnuchin to be retroactive to late July, which only makes sense, but you can't particularly always have everything. And that's what Nancy Pelosi is not grasping. When Mnuchin made the offer of $400 a week in July, had she accepted it, Nancy Pelosi, you would have had $4,000 today. It's been 10 weeks since he made that last offer. And ultimately, you're not getting $10,000, you're not getting $4,000 a week. Let me tell you how much money you're going to lose with Nancy Pelosi. It's 10 weeks since that $400 offer was made. Okay, we're in middle October, November, December, January, February, March. It will be 5 months by the time that you get any enhanced unemployment benefits from Nancy Pelosi. 5 months, 20 weeks. It'll be 20 weeks from now until you get a penny from Nancy Pelosi for enhanced unemployment benefits. Listen carefully. I'll say it again. It will be 20 weeks until you get enhanced unemployment benefits from Nancy Pelosi. Why? Because she's waiting for the Senate to go Democratic. Okay, that will happen on Election Day, but they're not taking their seats until January. It'll take a few weeks for the bill to pass. Then it won't become law until about February or March. Then it takes about 4 weeks to send out the money to the states. You're not seeing money until March or April. Imagine we've waited 10 weeks to get $4,000 we should have gotten. Imagine waiting, what is it? November, December, January, February, March, five more months, 20 more weeks. You'll have waited 30 weeks to get enhanced unemployment benefits under Nancy Pelosi. I can't even say it with a straight face. This is not winning, Nancy. This is losing. Waiting and waiting and waiting 30-something weeks to get people on enhanced unemployment benefits is not winning. And how about stimulus checks? You're supposed to have one stimulus check between now and March? If Biden wins or the Senate goes Democratic, is Nancy Pelosi going to revise her bill and say, oh, now I'm going to give you a stimulus check for December and January, February, March? No. She hasn't done it before. In fact, she said she was going to do it this time around. She didn't. Every attempt that she has to give you more money, she doesn't give you more money. Every time she has to give more money to states and cities, she does try to give them more money to cities and states. MNUCHIN's offer is really good, $300 billion for state and local. That's all they need. It costs about $150 billion for 1 year for cities and states to survive this pandemic. So 1 year of grant money is 150. He doubled it to 300 billion. Nancy's 400 billion is uncalled for. That's almost 2 years of grant money. They don't need 2 years of grant money. MNUCHIN has liability protection for businesses, so why does Mitch need to do another bill next week for that? MNUCHIN, $1,200 checks for adults, good. $1,000 checks for a child, great. Airlines, $20 billion, okay. PPP loans, $330. Minority lending, $10 billion, should be higher. Testing, tracing, vaccine, healthcare providers, $175, great. Student loan forgiveness, $25 billion, great. Food assistance, $15 billion. Childcare, $25 billion. Postal, $10. Employee retention, $91. Lodging, $20, and broadband, $15. It's a great bill. I mean, the reason why I went through those numbers is not to put you to sleep, but to say, hey, these are really good numbers. What's wrong with these numbers, Nancy? Ultimately, as Maxine Waters said several weeks ago, it's about negotiating and coming to a common ground. Nancy Pelosi has no common ground. She has only one ground, the ground that she stands on. And ultimately, the ground that she stands on, she may get, but if she gets that, you won't get any money till March. This is October. I can't believe I'm saying this to you. You were on lockdown in March of this year, and then April, and then May. You may go back on lockdown next month, or the month after if COVID ravages higher in some of these states. And you have to sit around to see stimulus, which you were entitled to in April this year, a year later. A first world country, the leading government of the world, can't get stimulus out to its people until a year after a pandemic hits. If you don't see how messed up this is, then you don't understand why Purple Power has been so successful. There's a reason why there's Purple Power. Millions and millions of viewers every single day tune into this channel because they don't understand why a first world country that is hit by COVID-19 more than any other country, that was the strongest world economy before this pandemic hit, cannot figure out how to get stimulus out to anyone since March of this year and may not get it out to the March of next year. It's a disgrace. It shows that this government's broken, and it won't be fixed by the next president. It won't be fixed by the election results of this coming time, because these people are using this election to get themselves reelected or to get seats taken. They're not doing it to give you relief. None of these people should be reelected. Let me answer some of the incredible questions from yesterday. Tara, how can this be so hateful? This many hateful people running our country. It's disgusting. You know why it is, Tara Jones? This goes back to what a lot of people were calling for years and years ago. Campaign donation reform. There was calls for this years ago that said you should not allow these campaigns to be run by big donors and super PACs that just give rich people a lot of money so rich people can be in government, because ultimately, if you can just buy yourself a seat in office, then do you really care about helping other people? Michelle, we all need retroactive higher stimulus. Tammy, please just get it done. Cindy, the 22nd Amendment limited the terms of our president. Elizabeth, no stimulus, no votes for incumbents. Nelson Manny, supposing Pelosi's holding out for $600 and she rejected $400 and the American people are getting zero. Now who is she helping here? Helping no one. Donald Adius, old McConnell had a farm, and that's where you need to go. Albert, Mr. President, why are you having so much trouble with the stimulus money? We're hurting badly. Chris, oh, I cut off Chris's comment. Well, I'm sorry, Chris. Can't do everything, and maybe it's at the casino. Boy, in a day in which there's so many twists and turns, I mean losing scripts. I'm losing some of your comments. But I appreciate your time and patience. I appreciate your support. It is a confusing day. It's a confusing day, and hopefully during this afternoon's broadcast, I maneuvered you through this. Coming up on Evenings LALATE, I will bring it back together and make it even more concise and more simplistic, assuming there's no more major developments in the last few hours, which there could be. Go to the Friends channel, subscribe, because we're trying to get to 300,000. We made it to 290. Next stop, 300K. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Evenings LALATE. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay in LA for more.